9 episodes. This is number 99 of Three Things with JR. Thank you so much for listening for the last 2 years. And it's been a pleasure making this show. We're going to keep doing it because I'm thoroughly enjoying it. And I've got a big show for you today. I've actually got 2 guests on the show. Mainly the big part of the show here. Right after the commercial break, you're going to hear my stepson Chester. He's in the hospital in Okinawa, Japan, because he crashed his motorcycle and broke his leg. In fact, he will be the second guest ever on Three Things with JR to have broken his femur from a motorcycle accident. And it sounds like breaking a femur is not fun at all. You may remember back many months ago, about a year ago now, I had my cousin Brandon on the show down in Florida who wrecked his Harley at low speeds, but still cracked his femur, and he's still dealing with that, surgeries and physical therapy and a new knee and stuff like that. So breaking a femur, horrible. Chester ran himself into a guardrail in some slippery conditions on his bike, and we're going to hear all about it from Chester himself. He's several days removed from this happening. Sounds like it happened like on Thursday, and so he's already had a big old rod put in his knee, put in his femur to stabilize it. He broke it into like 3 pieces, and so he's going to be in the hospital for a while. I'll be talking to him today. You're going to hear this conversation. He is way less drugged up than he was when he first called me to let me know about the accident. He called me. It was kind of late here. It was like 10:30 at night, Virginia time. And when he called, he sounded like maybe he'd been drinking. And at first, I don't get a ton of calls from Chester, so usually, so far, they've all been fine. Like all the calls, every time he calls me, it's been good news. And but because it doesn't happen all that often, I always think the worst. Chester's calling me. That's not normal. Something bad must have happened. That's my first thought. And this time, I was right. But then when I heard him, when he started talking, I was like, oh, he's just drunk calling me, which he has done from time to time. And then it turned out he wasn't drunk calling me. He was on fentanyl and oxy and whatever they're pumping into his veins to deal with the pain post-surgery in the hospital from this motorcycle accident. So that's going to be the bulk of the show. But first, a correction. On last week's show, I decided I had to make a tough decision. I had so many things on my mind that I wanted to talk about that are happening in the world today, right? Abortion stuff, Ukraine stuff, gun stuff, right? And I mean, that's really not what I like to do on my podcast. That's not what I'm all about. I don't spend most of my time thinking about that stuff. Mostly I'm thinking about what show am I in now? I need to learn my lines and sing the songs and figure out how to tap dance and play disc golf and what movie am I going to go see? That's where my brain's at most of the time. So to do a show about heavy topics like that was a little out of character for me. And another reason I don't typically do it is because I don't study this stuff. I don't consider myself well-versed in like world history and stuff. So when I started talking about Ukraine and the war there and Russia pummeling Ukraine with missiles and attacks and all of that, and how much that pisses me off, and how much I think we should do something about that, I started talking about NATO as if I know something about NATO, and I clearly don't. And I found out how much I don't know about NATO by talking about NATO. And one of my good friends, Eric Huffman,
thank you.
Yeah, coworker, good friend, and he's actually one of the few people that like listens to every episode of this show.
I don't comment though. I just call you like, right. Dude,
yeah.
I hear you. It is frustrating. I get it.
So yeah, I get this call out of the blue. He said, hey, I just want to let you know you screwed up.
I think I said misspoke.
You misspoke on your podcast. And I was like, what did I say that
you said so many things?
I know. I was all
one?
over the place. Was it the abortion thing? Was it the gun thing?
No,
I don't think so.
No.
I think those were just my opinions.
Yeah, you're allowed
so I don't
to have
think misspoke my opinion.
No.
But then then he pointed out something I said about the whole NATO thing. So here, let me tell you what I think I said ish, and why I thought it, and then you can correct me. And for anybody that was listening that didn't pick up on it, you can point out my goof.
Yeah, you'll know that JR is in a better place now.
So somewhere along the way during these last few months, I listen to news podcasts all the time. I hear them talking about Ukraine and Russia and NATO. And somebody said on one of those podcasts where I was driving, I was probably mostly listening, but maybe not fully comprehending. I thought there was, NATO's brought up in these discussions on the war in Ukraine a lot. And there's got to be some reason that America and various other countries aren't sending in troops to help Ukraine defend itself from those idiots in Russia. Right. And for somehow I got the notion that I know we are in NATO, right? America is a NATO member, right?
Very much so.
And I got the impression that one of the reasons we didn't want to go directly up against Russia was because they were a NATO ally.
Right. Wrong.
And that's a no. That's a no apparently in NATO. I had that completely wrong. Apparently. Can you please help me out? Help me understand how I screwed that up.
Yeah. So NATO so I'm not a historian, right?
Okay.
And I'm not a.
So we've established that neither one of us are experts in this.
It's perfect.
But you've studied it more than I have.
Well, I pay attention to it, and mostly the reason is I grew up living in Germany. Because of NATO.
Is Germany in NATO?
Yes, Germany.
Okay, Germany's in NATO. Good.
Very much in NATO. And my dad was in the Army, and we were stationed over there. So in the U.S. Army, because of something at the time called the Warsaw Pact, which, my very simple understanding is that was kind of Russia's NATO, and the North Atlantic Treaty Organization was our version. So, there's been a lot of countries added recently to NATO, but, at the time it was like Great Britain, Germany, Spain has been there for quite some time, Italy, these countries, kind of those Western European countries predominantly made up NATO.
Okay.
Turkey was also a member.
Wait, Warsaw Pact. Is that the thing that made the USSR what it was?
Exactly. Yeah. So there's no more
United Soviet Socialist Republic.
Right. And so the Warsaw Pact was the USSR plus. Now this is my Western slant on it. So so that is what it is, right?
Vladimir might not agree with your assessment on this.
Right. And there was other countries that pretty much had puppet governments that were under the sphere of influence of the USSR. So countries like Poland at the time, that'd be an example. Now today, Poland is in NATO.
Go Poland.
Yeah, right. So, NATO has expanded, and that's very threatening to current Russia.
Okay.
And so they are spinning that to them. It's kind of, the West approaching them, and that, we're threatening their way of life and their traditions and whatnot. So they are trying to create a buffer, and they've done that a number of different ways, most of which NATO doesn't really like so much.
So if America goes directly against Russia, right, like troops on the ground fighting against Russia,
Nobody.
So I'm trying to figure out what I may have misread out of the news story, right? So let me tell you what I'm thinking it was.
Okay.
If we did that, Russia probably not likely to go on the offensive against America, right? Like that'd be a big fucking deal.
We've had a number of proxy wars, is what they're called, against Russia. Back. It's been going on for years and years and years in different places.
But Russia may absolutely decide to go directly on the offensive against other NATO members, and then we would have to intervene because we're NATO, right? And so that definitely escalates things pretty quickly.
Yes, yeah, and are either one of us able to tap the brakes? And nobody wants us to be in direct conflict with Russia, even though it kind of feels like we are. That's a no-win situation potentially for the world, right? So that's what we're all trying to avoid there. So it's complicated. I don't have answers. I don't have, I don't even know what all the right questions are. I just know it's strategically difficult to support the Ukraine right now, or Ukraine, not the Ukraine.
Yeah, no, it's not the Ukraine.
No, it's not. It's
Even
Ukraine.
I know that.
Yeah,
Eric.
thank you.
Come on.
Yeah, but it's a tricky situation. It really, really is, and we're, I think, doing a good job of supporting them. They would like more, which is understandable. We would like Vladimir to learn his lesson and be a good boy, and he's not. So
Right.
yeah.
So here's an example of maybe my expectations of our military and especially our special forces is maybe skewed a little bit by the movies and
this ought to be
TVs
interesting.
and books and stuff.
Go
but
ahead. I've got opinions here.
I mean, at this point, the problem is Vladimir Putin, right?
Yeah.
And probably some other high up oligarchs and stuff, right? That's a word I've heard on the news a bunch. I think I kind of know what an oligarch is, but it's bad.
Well,
it's bad in the context of Russian oligarchs.
I mean, I could tell you real quick.
Sure. What's an oligarch?
So when the Soviet Union ceased to be the Soviet Union, at that time, everything was owned by the government. And they got away from that because they were
because of communism.
Because of communism,
right?
So select individuals that were favored were given opportunities to buy industry, and those people
they could own stuff.
They could own stuff, and that wasn't equally spread out.
They didn't
and those people today are still benefiting, and those are the oligarchs.
Equity is kind of the basis for communism.
Yeah.
So this is communism gone wrong.
Right. So whether or not it's oil fields or, swaths of land or, most of the oligarchs have their fortune wrapped up in one industry or another. And that was basically a direct result of the fall of the USSR.
So I'm sure the people in our Pentagon know which other people, in addition to Vladimir Putin, is like, okay, these guys are bad. These are the ones most likely to actually hit the button on the nukes, right?
Arguably, Vladimir Putin, some people believe he is actually the richest person on the planet. However, he would never come out and say that because that, what would that show? Oh, corruption.
Big time.
Big time corruption.
Yeah.
However, some people believe that.
Yeah. So what if our special forces went in and took out the right people,
so
including Mr. Putin?
Yeah, so that there are.
What? Yeah. How is that a bad thing? How is that? Obviously, there's a risk in
the devil
everything.
that first off.
Sure.
And does that escalate things like in a
who
crazy
takes
amount?
over? Who fills the vacuum of power?
Yeah. Would it even be successful? Yeah. We haven't exactly had a clean track record of removing heads of government lately and reestablishing new governments.
Okay.
You watch the news enough to know that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Good.
Yeah, I get that.
It's not great. And we're also talking about a nuclear superpower here. So, who also. Now, at one time, I thought that they had more nuclear power than us. Like they have the biggest bombs. We'll put it that way. Their bombs are bigger than ours. Yeah. However, I also thought that their military was going to be incredibly equipped and rivaled our own and would roll over Ukraine in no time.
That's not happening.
No, that's
I can't
not
tell
happening.
you how happy it makes me every time I hear about Ukrainian forces defending themselves successfully. And it's not happening every day.
No.
But when it does, I'm like, God, go for them, man. And they're not even getting the support they need.
Well, I mean, and granted, again, huge Western slant here, but think about what we did with the help of our allies during the Gulf War. We established air superiority within days. 2 days in, we pretty much owned the sky, going against Iraq. At the time, they were a top 5 military in the world. And we went in and we owned the air. Mm-hmm. And as a result of that, we got what we wanted to get done, taken care of. This far into the war in Ukraine, Russia still does not own the air. Yeah. They will not fly their jets over Kyiv. Like, that's not happening. So...
Yeah, I mean, just the fact that Kyiv is they're not in Russian-controlled city yet.
Not even close.
How's that even?
Not even close.
That speaks a lot, I would think, about the resolve of the Ukrainian forces and their leader,
Yeah.
who's pretty awesome.
Yeah,
and
poor management of the
Exactly.
of the generals and not to mention, I mean, they've lost a number of generals. They put their generals on the front line, which would not work in our structure. Like we could go really deep on this. I don't think that's what you're looking for here.
No.
And I could get fired up on it, but I'll say I find it interesting. I think it's also sad that at this point, as Americans, the main news cycle, I think we kind of got worn out on it. And it's, there's some other and you address some of the other topics. Oh my goodness. I feel like this is a house of cards right now, but like every day there's huge things going on over there. And I do seek out the information. I get it from the sources I get it from, and everybody's got a slant. I try to recognize that, but it's sad what is happening there. I don't think we're allowing it, but it's not like we can just roll in with tanks and NATO and try to hit them straight on, because at the end of the day, you've got someone that has clearly shown that he's willing to make crazy decisions. No one thought that he would actually do this. Right up to the last minute, no one believed that it would happen. With Putin there, you just don't know what he's capable of. He's said things like, if there's no Russia, there doesn't need to be a world. He's said things like that. Their news is constantly talking about, and this is Russian media, which is the news that the Russians get. It's not like here where we can choose which angle we want to be lied to from, right? Like,
Yeah.
But we can make that choice. You can flip to the other channel and they can make you mad if you want. Over there, they don't have that luxury. So their news is constantly talking about, how they can take out Western Europe with a few nuclear strikes, and they're always dropping the
oh my god,
dropping
did you say dropping the N-word? Is that what you're about to say?
No, well, they're dropping the the
N-word. That's not what you were gonna say.
No,
nuclear and it's nuclear, not nuclear.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. The peripheral. I was trying to come up with a word that my mouth didn't want to say.
Peripheral?
Maybe not that. Anyway, they're constantly dropping talk of nuclear weapons, which I was then thinking about dropping nuclear. Anyway, yeah, it was bad puns all the way that I didn't even mean to walk into.
It's like 6 different conflicting puns going on in your head.
That's a train wreck. But so their media is just basically talking up the fact that to their own people that they might have to accept, things aren't that bad on the ground. Everything's getting really expensive over there, and the sanctions are kind of, it's terrible for their economy and their people. But their people are constantly being lied to. Granted, I'm saying that, and I guess there's always two sides to a story.
Yeah.
But I think I have the understanding that I want to understand why it is that we are helping and not directly engaging. And it's tricky. It's a balance.
So long story short, Russia's not in NATO.
Russia. No, sir.
Got it.
No, sir.
I'm much more. I'm only half joking. I feel like significantly smarter about this right now.
Good. Glad I could help.
All right. So, what's your thoughts on abortion?
It's none of my fucking business. Are you kidding me?
Exactly.
Like, it is my business that everyone should have a right. I don't think
everyone should have the right to do whatever they want with their bodies. Right. Inside their bodies, it's
horrible.
theirs, and you should not have the state telling you that.
No, you should not have the state getting in the way of it.
Any
Everyone
state
should have the right. I mean, and if you believe, that that life is created at nothing, no law is going to keep the bad person from going to hell, if that's what you believe, at the gates. If they make that decision, then that's on them. And if you are strictly against a woman having a right to choose, then you're probably believing that that's one of those decisions that would send someone to hell.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, good for you for thinking that, and maybe they will still go there, and then you still win, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're gonna do it.
I know. I wasn't prepared for this talk,
know,
man.
right?
I
Let's not do it. Let's maybe we don't do abortion on this one.
Goodness.
Guns? Any thoughts on guns? You're a gun owner, aren't you?
Well, kind of. Yeah, I don't actually own bullets, but I do have some
guns, but no bullets.
I grew up, in and around a farm, and a gun was a tool. My dad was in the military, and I've shot, and my brother has guns, and I've been in and around them.
Shooting guns is fun.
It is fun. That being said, come on now.
Right.
Come on. Like, we need to stop believing that, these people that wrote the Constitution, these slave owners from over 200 years ago that wrote the Constitution should have, the ultimate say on everything that's done today. They had some really good ideas. They were also wrong about a couple things too. And I think we can realize that and say, when at the time we thought that they should have the right to we should all have the right to bear arms. So we could overturn our government. That's what it was about.
Yeah.
So that we would have the power to overturn our government. They have tanks and stealth aircraft. We're not overturning them with our ARs, even if you have one. That is not a reasonable argument.
No. And in the recent Supreme Court decision where they just announced, right, that people don't have to prove a need for concealed carry, right? So it's easier now for people to walk around with guns without everybody else knowing they have a gun.
Yeah.
And part of the citing for that was pointing out that was not addressed in the Constitution. So basically,
well, yeah, because we didn't.
Well, we
didn't have Glocks back then.
And I think it was Clarence Thomas. I could be wrong, but I think it was Clarence Thomas that was saying that is more important, right? The constitutional interpretation is more important than a modern day concern over public safety, right? Like he could probably wrap his mind around why it would be safer in the public if we limited people's access to guns. But that's not constitutional, according to him, right?
Okay, so you're getting further into stuff.
I am getting deep now.
Yeah,
I've been thinking about this,
okay,
right?
Good. Well, maybe I can learn something. That'll be a change on one of your podcasts.
If I could ask Clarence Thomas this question, I would be curious what his answer is. If you went back and talked to Thomas Jefferson, do you really, and the other founding fathers, do you really think that if you said, hey, in the future, people are going to have guns and they're going to use them to murder 20 people at a time in a school, and they're going to do that a bunch of times.
Right.
And we're thinking that maybe in the future that we might want to have some laws to help us maybe curb that a little bit.
Right.
But you didn't really put that in your Constitution at all. Do you think we should address modern day needs, or do you think we should only go by the words you wrote back in the 1800s?
They knew it was flawed then. They knew it was flawed then.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I believe I saw on Facebook somebody had a Thomas Jefferson quote from the Thomas Jefferson Memorial that specifically addressed this. And Thomas Jefferson knew you can't. You should look back and think of those people hundreds of years ago as barbaric compared to where you are now. That's how we think of the people 200 years before us.
I guarantee you 200 years from now, if there's still people walking this earth, they'll look back and think we're barbaric for making some of the decisions we made now.
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice. We made the most of this.
I wasn't prepared for those other two.
I know, right?
Russia's not in NATO.
I didn't know I was going to do that. Russia's not in NATO. That's the reason you're here.
There it is.
On my podcast.
Yeah.
Can I go back to doing my podcast without you now?
Yeah, sure. But we should do one where we talk about, three things that are more fun, because this isn't your realm, right? This is
no.
You don't.
No. That's the whole point of this.
Now, if this gets like a lot more view or listens,
maybe I'll have to start talking about abortion and guns and war more often.
You might have to start getting some opinions.
I might have to start paying attention.
You might have to do some research.
Yeah. I have to Google some stuff.
Maybe.
All right, now let's finish on this.
Okay.
Top Gun Maverick. Have you seen it yet?
No, I might see it this weekend. Gosh. I got attacked by the vid.
That was such a bummer.
I wanted to go and just hasn't. The time hasn't lined up.
Eric and I had figured out a way to go see Top Gun Maverick
on work hours
for work.
Yeah. Well, I was taking the time off.
We were technically going to take the time off because we could only, in our minds, kind of half justify it as work.
Right.
And we had it was between some, big stuff at work. So we could do it. We took the afternoon off.
Yeah, love my job.
We bought tickets.
Yes.
We were good to go.
Yes.
And we were going to go on a Monday afternoon.
Yeah.
And on Sunday evening, you texted me.
Yeah.
The news.
Yeah.
COVID.
Yeah.
So no Top Gear. I waited.
Top Gear? No.
Top Gear?
Yeah.
Top Gun.
Love Top Gear.
Tom Cruise?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jeremy Clarkson?
Tom Cruise?
Teaming up? No.
Tom Gun?
Tom Gun?
Tom Gun.
Top Cruise.
Yeah.
We did that on the other podcast.
Yeah, we did.
So I waited like a week just to see, and then you were still testing positive. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
just
screw this. I go see the movie.
I'm so over COVID. Like literally now, I'm actually over. Hey, I'm over COVID. But I still try to make good decisions for the people around me. That not everyone makes good decisions, but I'm still still trying. Doesn't mean I'm not going to not try to live my life. I'm going to get out this weekend. I'm going tubing.
Tubing.
I haven't gone tubing for like 15 years.
Tubing on the James?
No.
Tubing on the Shenandoah?
No. Keep
Which
going.
river?
Not the Nile, not the Mississippi.
The Nantahala River?
I have no idea where that is.
The New River in West Virginia?
Not the Rhine.
No. There's a good river in Pennsylvania with an awesome sounding Indian name.
Think closer to home.
Susquehanna River?
We're going to go on the Rivanna.
No, the Rivanna.
Yeah, Rivanna.
Rivanna.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we're going to that one.
I hear it as Rivanna.
I don't know if that's a good decision as far as rivers go.
Where do you go tubing on the Rivanna?
Apparently right off of, it's either High Street, I think, or no, Free Market. I don't know. It's around.
Free Market?
No, maybe that's not it. What? I'm trying to think of Freebridge. That's the one. Not Free Market. Freebridge.
Oh, I know where you're talking about.
Yeah. So apparently there's a spot there.
That's right at the bottom of the hill at Pantops.
Yeah. So the water ought to be interesting there.
Huh. Yeah.
Right in the middle of the city.
So near Darden Towel Park, somewhere in that vicinity.
Yeah. Something like that.
And then you go like through as it wraps around town, kind of.
No idea.
It goes by Woolen Mills, I think.
It goes downhill. That's all I'm aware of.
Yeah, it does. So that's good. At least you're starting on the river past the dam.
Yeah. Otherwise, that one rapid is a doozy.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the plan anyway. So we'll see. We haven't done anything like that for quite some time. It'll be the first time taking the kids. So
cool.
Yeah.
Are you worried about their ability to stay
Constantly.
in a tube?
Of course. Yeah. I'm thinking about life vest and tubes for arms. And, one of my kids is a good swimmer, but is he too confident? I don't know. Yeah. I want to wrap them in bubble wrap at all times, but, we got to get out and do some stuff. So.
Sure.
Yeah. Should be fun. Russia is not in NATO.
Russia's not in NATO. Speaking of doing stuff at work that's not work related,
it's about time we get back from break, huh?
Yeah. I'm going to go back home to my studio and record the rest of this episode now.
There you go.
All right.
Good.
See ya.
See ya.
Thanks for helping.
No problem.
Russia's not in NATO.
Nothing I can say. Change your mind and stay. So I'll see you later today.
Let's see. Microphone. Can you hear me still?
Yeah, I hear you a little bit. You sound a little better now. You sound a little tunnely earlier. Now you sound better.
Good. I'm using my really good microphone now.
Well, it makes a difference.
It does make a difference.
Phone camera or phone speaker.
Yeah. So this morning was rough, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it didn't start out good. They're doing their best over here at this hospital, and I've been having pretty good nurses recently. And then one this morning was like, knock knock. Already halfway through the bed, flip the lights on. I'm like, hello, what up? Hello. Usually they're just like, real soft. Hello, hey, can I turn the light on? No, they're just like, this morning, like where they barge in here, flip the lights on. Yeah, I need to take some vitals, take some blood, and then they messed it up. They messed up two. This is the first I tried to put in I already had IV in. And they tried to put another IV, missed that one up, had to pull it back out. I had to try another IV in a different hand, missed that one. And then I think it's due to inexperience and something like that there, because you got, some 18, 19-year-old in here with no direct, somebody over their shoulder trying to do all this stuff because they're in the military, and then, takes the alcohol pad out and immediately just starts scrubbing my already bruised hand from IVs, scrubbing it like she's trying to get off some baked ziti off of a pan. I'm like,
do you think this is because it's a military hospital? Is that the reason why?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. It's just the experience they have as this being their job. Because
are they students?
100%. They're 100% guaranteed they are in upgrade training, or they're still learning their job. 100%.
Gotcha.
Yeah, when there's an actual, because there is actual RNs that come back and see you, but some of the other stuff, like when they go get vitals or like get draw some blood or something like that, they just send in, you know, the lowest ranking person on ship, like, hey, go get all the vitals from all the patients or whatever. So,
Right. And do they have to do that like pretty often, right? Like, so they can't let you sleep through the night. They have to get your vitals, which is probably going to wake you up.
Every 4 hours, yeah.
So lots of short naps.
Yeah. And the main reason they're getting vitals and doing so many labs is because my hemoglobin was pretty low. Like to like the territory where there was like talk about blood transfusion low, because I mean, you drill out the inside of one of your biggest bones.
Yeah.
He said he used a reamer, so like I figure I don't know how long, like a 10-12 inch long reamer to ream out the inside of your bone.
They had to reamer your femur.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, your femur is responsible for making a lot of the blood your body uses.
Yeah, big portion of your bone marrow. That bone marrow produces blood, red blood cells. On top of me losing a lot of blood from just the wound and the surgery. So they're like, yeah, you kept dropping it low. We're gonna have to do a blood transfusion, and I'm not trying to have no blood transfusion. That is not a good time. I don't think it's painful or anything like that, but there's a lot of like after effects and like long-term stuff that you just don't want to deal with.
That's just where they put somebody else's blood in you, right?
Yeah, like, oh, here you go, here's some blood.
Yeah. From all the millions of people across the world that donate blood, this is what it can be used for.
Exactly. Yeah. If you're like, no, I wasn't by any means in any like critical, like life-threatening situation, but they were like, yeah, you're like not very. I had also my heart rate's been pretty high. Like resting, it's like at 120.
Oh wow.
120, up in the 130s.
Yeah.
But it's also because I've been kind of trying to take it easy with the pain. I'm not trying to get all juiced up on like super pain medicines and just feel crazy. So they're saying that's probably also why your heart rate is up, because I'm taking it light for the pain. But once if it does start getting up there, obviously like, all right, I can give you some stuff. But I'm not trying to go heavy on the pain medication. So that's one reason why my heart rate's kind of staying up. Also, my blood pressure has been low. So my fast heart rate, low blood pressure, just I lost some blood, and then
dude, this is
my body not making any more blood.
Yeah, a motorcycle accident will do crazy shit to your body, man. I mean, when I had mine, it's been over 4 years now, but when I had it, they couldn't operate on my ankle because I started having arrhythmia in my heart, like it was beating weird. And they wouldn't operate until that sort of calmed itself down, which I've never had that before. I haven't had it since.
Yeah.
It was because of like the adrenaline and the trauma and my body just freaking out, and like they just had to wait. And it's I'm not surprised. And now, and you go and take out like your biggest bone marrow, and I would imagine your body's going through some crazy weird times. I like I'm with you on the pain meds. I did not want to take any more pain meds than I absolutely needed. Now, when I was in the hospital, I was all about give me the morphine or whatever they had plugged into me. But as soon as I left, I was off that stuff as fast as possible. I only took as much as I absolutely had to have.
Yep. So the IV meds are great, but I don't like it because they get this pain relief is super quick and super heavy pain relief, but it's like not very long. It doesn't last very long, the IV. They'll give you a hit, and then you're just like, oh yeah, I feel super good. But then, I don't know, like hour later, half an hour later, 45 minutes later, you're like, all right, still kind of hurting it. I just don't like riding that roller coaster.
Yeah. Do you know what's in the IV? Like what pain meds is? You told me the other night it's fentanyl or oxy.
When I first got in, they were like, all right, yeah, they're giving me some good stuff, fentanyl, which is like 10 times stronger than morphine.
Right.
What they were saying. So that was when I was still like going through it. And then after I was like kind of in the ICU, awake back up, they started just doing I forgot what it's called, Dilaudid. Yeah, Dilaudid. Dilaudid, and then I'd take the oxy, but man, the oxycodone pills, 5 milligram pills, I was barfing.
Right. I had the same reaction. I can't take oxy. It just messes with my body. It made me feel worse. Like the pain was better than how I felt on the oxy.
Yeah, I would take the oxy, and I would barf up my food that I ate down, that I would try to eat all my food. And then, well, first I would take it, I didn't have anything in my belly, and I was just like kind of dry heaving. I was like, this is horrible.
Yeah.
So then I drank some water, so then I could puke that up. And then after I stopped puking, I was like, oh, okay, now I can actually feel the effects of the oxy. But it was not. So they started giving me anti-nausea medicine, IV anti-nausea medicine, maybe 15, 20 minutes before, and then I would take that. Now I'm taking the oxy. And they were giving me 10 milligrams of oxy, but now I'm down to 5. I'm like, just give me the 5. I'm not trying to deal with that extra.
So they had to give you drugs so that you could take the drugs.
Yeah,
So
I've been trying to show all the nurse staff, all the ICU staff, like pictures of what actually, because I mean, they never get, they just know you're just some jacked up dude laying in their bed, and they gotta give you medicine and food and water and take care of you, but they don't know. A lot of times they don't get to see like what actually happened to this dude. So I was trying to be like in pain, and I'd be like, hey, have you seen the X-rays yet? I don't know if you're like, no. I'll have been like, yeah, if you're willing to show me, I'll look at them. So of course I showed him the picture that I took in the ambulance on the way there, and then all the X-ray pictures afterwards, and then I've been trying to show him like, yeah, this is what's going on right now. The before rods, the after rods.
Mm.
Yeah.
Do you weren't taking any video when you had the wreck, were you?
I was not. I kind of wish I was, to see
No kidding.
what happened, but yeah. Because really I wasn't like flying, I wasn't like riding hard. It was wet out. Well, so it had rained, but then it had stopped raining, and it was really patchy rain, so it was like something.
And were you like leaning hard into a curve?
No, I wasn't even leaning. I was leaning a little bit hard. The back end started to slide out, but I'm on a supermoto, so I kind of mess around like that. I'll slide the back end out like under hard braking. I'll kind of slide out and do a little bit of counter steer, just for like, I do it for like skills practice, just to like kind of, hey, what am I gonna do in these situations? And also it's a supermoto, so it's just easier. They're pretty easy to control like that, sliding around a little bit. But this wasn't the case. I was just going into a turn. I wasn't messing around. It was because it was wet. I was literally on the way to work, just going up this curvy road by my house that I go up 2 times a day. That's a pretty popular road with the local, car scene and bike scene, because it's curvy and it's
a road you're really familiar with.
Oh yeah, I've been up and down this road probably thousands of times, if
right.
not more. I mean, every single day for the past, or twice a day, almost every single day for the past 3 years. And then even on the weekends, like I'll go up and down it like for fun with my friends in my car and stuff like that. Like it's a fun road. So I know the road really, really well. It was kind of patchy. Like the center of the road was kind of wet. Then the yellow line center, and then like there would be kind of like dry tire tracks, and the edges were really wet. So I'm coming around this curve. It's a right-hander, and I'm braking a little bit of front brake before I get into the curve, and just kind of trail braking into the curve. And the back tire started slipping. I'm like, oh yeah, it's all right, whatever. No, I wasn't super worried about it at that point, because just back wheel slide a little bit.
So you're going into the curve. You slow down to get into the curve, but your back end starts to slide out a little bit.
Starts to slide out, yeah. And then I'm like, okay. And then I'm getting to the point where I'm like still kind of sliding, and because the ground is wet, it's obviously not. The roads here are made out of like ground up coral dust and just not. And a bunch of other crap that doesn't react well with water. When it gets wet, they get excessively slippery. You could have a 4 horsepower front-wheel drive car, and you will literally do a burnout at a stoplight if you're in like a sketchy patch road, and it's like just how that patch road is, how it turned out. You will spin out. You will just.
That seems strange for a place with a monsoon season.
Yeah. So there's actually literal. I think I talked to you about this before. Maybe not. Calling, but they actually have like patches of road where they know this issue, and they've actually like at stoplights and big intersections they have grippy asphalt. It's like actually like textured, and it has special stuff in it to grip, because they know like if you're going like 20 miles an hour or even 15-20 miles an hour and you hit your brakes and this patch right here, you will slide all the way to the light, because these roads suck when they're wet. Yeah,
but would you still describe them as paved though? There's not like they're soft, right? They're paved roads.
No, they're paved, but they use obviously local resources. They use coral and obviously when you have stuff from the ocean that gets wet again after it's been dried out, it does kind of get gelatinous and slippery, goopy feel. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's a lot of sand and. Yeah, it's just coral dust into the pavement. So they're not paved, right? They are noticeably slipperier than any other roads I've ever driven on. even in a car, you can tell they're like, well, these are actually pretty slippery roads. Anytime it rains, lots of wrecks here, all over the place.
Yeah. All right. So your back end slides out a little bit on the slippery road.
Yeah, back inside, I'm like, I'm not panicking, like, oh, damn, all right, I'm going to try to slow down a little more. And then I kind of get to the point where I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to hit this. I'm not going to slow down fast enough to not make this. I'm not making this curve. I'm not making this turn. Wouldn't go that fast still.
Right.
Still, like, yeah, I'm gonna probably hit this curve. So like, all right, I guess I should have just tried to dumped it. I should have dumped it, laid it down at that point in time. That would have been a lot smarter on my part, but I didn't really have enough time between the time of me saying like, oh, I'm going too fast in this corner, I'm back end sliding out. I didn't have like a conscious like, oh, I have to dump it right now. I was like, crap, am I making it? And now I can't really dump it at all. So.
And then the tire gripped?
Tires, no, the tires hit the curb.
Oh, hit the curb.
There's a curb there, and then there's a guardrail like right on the other side of the curb.
Got it.
So the tires hit the curb, obviously gripped up or stood the bike up from me trying to lean away from it, and pretty much just, this is kind of what I feel like happened. Catapulted me into the guardrail. Yeah. Maybe once I can walk again, I'll go back and measure, but it's probably right at about upper hip, lower femur height, and it probably just catapulted me with the bike hitting the curb into the guardrail. I kind of felt like I did a 360 maybe. Like
almost like a cartwheel.
No, maybe like a 360, like spinning kind of.
Oh, okay.
Maybe not so much like a cartwheel, because my helmet like looks perfect. My helmet didn't touch anything.
Really?
Yeah, I think there may be a small scratch on it where I was leaning on. There's like a concrete sidewalk and like a little concrete barrier wall right there to kind of prevent erosion, because it's kind of like a steeper. It's this uphill right-hand curve. It's kind of like some steeples on the side of this road where it's a lot of rain and moisture, so they do it for erosion. But I kind of landed sitting up on the sidewalk, leaning on my left side with my left arm kind of like, wasn't really pinned or trapped, but I was like kind of sitting on it, wrapped around the left side of my body. I was sitting on my left hand, which actually kind of helped out because I could use my arm strength to kind of like position what I couldn't do with my muscles to try to help that leg be as comfortable as possible, because it was immediately excruciating. But I never lost consciousness. It was immediately like, boom, guardrail, leaning on the sidewalk. I broke my femur 100%. My femur's broke. I was like, I just knew it. Femur broke. Everything else was like fine. I was like,
did you even try to get up?
Me, but no, I knew. I was like, there's no way. Yeah, I knew I wasn't getting up from this.
And could you look at your leg and see it was deformed?
Oh yeah, I could see it. I could see that the bottom half of the leg wasn't really matching up with the top half of the leg, and also my pants were also immediately tight. I had on tight pants on the left side. It immediately like swelled up, like big swole. So, and this one I was like, oh crap, that's not good. And obviously I have some adrenaline running at this point, but I had enough. It wasn't like enough. It wasn't like the amount of adrenaline where I was just like, I gotta get out of here and start doing. It was like, it was enough pain and adrenaline combo that I knew like, okay, femur's broken. I know there's a lot of arteries and super important stuff going on down there. My leg is already swollen to the point where it's made my jeans tight. This is not good at all. So I took my first thing I did immediately. I was like, I gotta take my helmet off. So I used my right hand, unbuckled it, put it off, put it on the ground next to me, and it was funny because I got that Bluetooth headset.
Yeah. Oh, you bought the one from Crutchfield, right? The Kenwood?
Yeah. So it's still connected to it, and I'm trying to call Megan, and I'm like, oh my god, it keeps connecting to the dang Bluetooth. And I'm like, hello. So I have to like go.
You had to put your helmet back on.
No. At this point, I'm like, I turn off the Bluetooth on my phone, and then because I wasn't trying to turn off the module, so I turned off my Bluetooth on my phone, so it was a straight phone. And then I called her. The only reason I called her because I'm probably on the ground for 15, 20 seconds, and luckily there was some traffic, some light traffic on that road, so some locals are already coming up, and I had tried to explain them in very broken. They didn't really speak English, so I'm like, hey, this is my leg broken. I was trying to make like universal broken hand signal, broken leg, pointing at my leg.
Like break time.
Yeah, well, because I have the phone in my hand, so I'm just like like breaking like a stick, like you break a stick, you know, like you hold two pieces and put both of your fists upward, and like,
Yeah.
oh, it's broken.
Uh-huh.
So I was doing that, pointing at my leg, and I could tell they knew that I was in pain, so they were already calling like the local authorities. So I straight up called Megan, was like, hey, and she's out, you know, bowling with the kids. I'm like, got a shaky voice because at this point, I'm at the pain is really obviously I've been sitting, you know,
Yeah.
30, 45 seconds in, just like excruciating, trying not to move, trying to keep myself like leaned up against this wall that I'm leaning on. My left hand and arm is kind of going numb from literally sitting on it, but there's no way I'm trying to move it. I can't move if I try to move my arm, no way. I get a backpack on too, so I got a backpack on, and then local emergency got there pretty quick. Maybe I have no idea. Time frames all messed up. Like 5-10 minutes maybe.
Okay. And that's because somebody else called whatever their version of 911 is.
Yeah. The locals called local emergency, and they showed up. And actually, it was really funny. Some other medical people showed up in just like a regular car. I'm not sure where they came from, but they came out, and I think they may have had like a little red light on their car, and they had like medical supplies, and like they had like little crosses on their shirts. I'm not sure if they're associated with the ambulance, but anyway, they showed up first. It may have just been some medical people driving by, but they showed up and they're like trying to like assess what was going on. And at this point, I was like, "Hey, Megan, let me go. You know where I'm at. You know what's wrong with me." I got off my phone and I started using the Google Translate. So like I typed in broken femur. You know, I just said broken femur, broken leg. I'm not sure if they use the same, if femur translate to Japanese, but I did broken femur, I did broken leg, and just pointed. And then, yeah, they were like, "Can we cut your pants off?" And I'm like, "Damn, I really don't mean to cut these pants, but yeah, I cut these pants off."
And these were like riding pants, right? With like armor and stuff in them?
Yeah, they had like sliding armor in like the legs and thigh area, and in the knees they had removable Sony knee pads, like that were like kind of like a stiffer foam.
Yeah.
They didn't have like hard armor. They just had like sliding type armor, and then
yeah, like if you had dumped the bike and slid, they would have done a nice job of keeping you from becoming road rash, right? But
so not, yeah, I probably would have had put a couple scrapes and bruises on it, but not. They don't really do much for like blunt trauma,
right?
Yeah,
and
so
how did Megan react on the phone?
I could tell like by the end of it, she was like kind of crying, like she was like obviously worried and kind of crying. I'm like, "Sorry, babe, I know it's stupid. Just yeah, just hella motorcycle wreck, blah." I knew. I mean, broken femur, having like a kind of knowledge of like medical background and stuff like that. I knew that this is not.
Yeah.
From the get go, like this is gonna be a super pain in the ass for everybody involved. So. Yeah, she was pretty upset, and then like ambulance guys got there. Of course, they're trying to still make sure I'm like any other injuries. Like, do you have any other injuries? Any other injuries? There's a guy that came in the ambulance that spoke English. I think they called him like, "Hey, he's an English guy. He's doesn't speak Japanese," and so they have like English guys like translators for the medical teams. So he's in the ambulance. He's like, "Hey, any other things? Things?" And then it cracked me up too. The cop is like, "Hey," he came. He's like, "Do you have a silver license?" Like, pretty much asking me like, "Am my license?" or like all the paperwork for my bike. And he's like doing like the bike portion. And meanwhile, I'm just like, getting my pants cut off me. I'm like, "All right, I know you're trying to do your job, but like, chill."
Yeah, that seems like that stuff that could be taken care of later.
Yeah. So, but he's trying to get all that, get a license and get my military ID and all that stuff. Because he's and I'm trying to be cooperative and stuff like that. I'm the phone. So eventually, I get off the phone and then they're talking to me like, "Hey, how's your neck?" And blah, blah, blah. I'm like, "No, my neck's fine. Like arm, shoulder, like they're trying to. I'm like, "No, literally, it is only my leg. That's it. Nothing else is." I'm like 100%. So I have the backpack on. Obviously, I can't take off the left shoulder strap because it's kind of trapped under my left arm.
Yeah.
Which is I'm sitting on it, trapped on it. But I can swing around my right shoulder to help pull off the backpack. I unzip my riding jacket. I had full gear. I had riding shoes, riding pants, full jacket, full leather gloves, helmet on. So they take all that stuff off. The jacket's still stuck on partly, and then all my bike information on my insurance and title and stuff's in my backpack. So I just give him the backpack and here it's in there. I'll let him. He'll search around and find it. Wallet was in there too. Yes, he's got all my IDs and all my SOFA license, which is a status of forces agreement license. It's like a driver, so you don't have to get a Japanese license being over here.
Yep.
So, and all my stuff was up to date. All my insurance update and inspection on the bike, all papers and everything was legit. He was probably trying to look for that kind of stuff too. I mean, also it would probably help. He probably made his job easier to get in contact with like my command, because obviously like who's this random American guy just is he Navy, Army, Air Force, so
Right.
probably helps him to like get a hold of the right people anyway. So yeah, they finally get me on the backboard trying to stabilize my neck, and I'm like in the ambulance at this point is they're moving me around. Obviously I'm not sitting perfectly or as still as I was before on the ground, and this guy starts driving the ambulance, and you see I've seen plenty of ambulances drive by, and it doesn't look like they're really doing much. There looks like they're just going like regular speed. They're not really kind of driving crazy, but I don't know if my driver was driving extra quickly because he knew I was in a bad spot or what, or just because I was in that much pain. But he was ripping it, and I could feel it. And so I'm like trying to find something to hold into to like stabilize myself.
They don't strap you down?
So I mean, they did. They tried to, but I'm like the position I'm in. I'm like think of like like sort of like fetal position, kind of like my left leg is my broken leg is like kind of like I'm laying on my left side, like on my left hip area on the left side, with my left hand still underneath my leg to kind of help hold it and stabilize it and keep it still, because it was real bad pain.
But you're kind of laying on the side with the broken leg?
Yeah, I'm laying like but not all the way on my side top. Just kind of like on my back, that little sort of left kind of
hip
area. Laying back there with my arm still down under there, kind of holding onto my thigh-ish area, kind of stabilizing it.
Trying to keep all the bones together.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep it from anything from moving at all.
Yeah.
And then my right arm is free. My right arm's free. So I'm like using it to like brace off of. I'm like pushing on. They're like kneeling down next to me, getting vitals. I'm like holding on their legs. This guy's like ripping the turns, like braking and accelerating. I'm like leaning up against the wall of the ambulance I'm in, to kind of help like stabilize. And they're trying to like stabilize my neck. I'm like, no, don't. They're trying to like keep your neck straight. I literally at one point I was like, my neck is fine. I know you guys think I have adrenaline. I said this to him. My neck is fine. I did like some chin dips. So I did I like put my head all the way back, left, right, went all the way down to my chest. Like, see my neck? I did like full rotation of my neck, and they're like, oh no, don't do that, don't do that.
Yeah,
like,
they're trained to stabilize everybody's neck, because any kind of spinal injury, that is only going to make it worse. So the last thing they want you to do is move your neck around.
Yeah, they're freaking out about that. I'm like, look, I'm using my neck to like stabilize myself. I'm using my neck and my right foot, because I can pretty much lift up my whole body weight with my right foot in the back of your head. You can kind of push your head back and lift your body weight up. So I was doing that, and they were like, no, don't use your neck. No, you're like, no, I'm in this. Neck's fine. I'm good. I got all feeling and everything, all my lungs. I'm not. And he's driving this pain. Whew. Definitely a 10 pain. Definitely a 10 scale on the pain scale. Definitely a 10.
Yeah, from what I've heard, like breaking a femur is like the worst pain you can experience.
Yeah.
Ugh.
So, and they didn't give me the pain medicine on the ambulance. It's probably because I told them I didn't have any drug allergies, but it's probably like just procedure. They can't really give stuff on the ambulance anyway. So he's driving, ripping around. I'm holding on I kind of found an assistant that worked out. One of the guys was kneeling next to me, and I was like holding onto his leg for support for my right arm and like pushing on it and pulling on it. And then one of the other guys, he like grabbed my hand when you get like your thumbs are kind of interlocked and you get like that real good solid grip.
Yeah.
It was really when the guy with the ambulance driver was hitting the brakes, because I would slide forward. Because like you said, they were strapping me down, but they couldn't really strap me down solid, because I'm like, don't. They would strap you down. I'm like, no, let's make it worse, because it was like pulling my hips flatter.
Yeah.
And it was like, yeah, I was like, no, don't do that. Just so they're strapped on me, but very, very loosely. And so he just kind of gave me like that good hand grip shake, and I was like pulling on him whenever he would brake to help pull me from being sliding forward in the ambulance. So yeah, we finally got to the ER.
Yeah.
and they had to transfer me. They had to, roll me on one side. Well, that was excruciating. Like, and they had to transfer me on a bunch of tables. They're trying to take a bunch of X-rays and like soft tissue scans. I'm not sure what they were doing to make sure like I didn't have any like crazy internal bleeding or something like that. Because obviously my leg was pretty fat at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And this is when they're like, "Hey, you got C-spine." I was like, "I can move myself." Like, "No, you're not moving your neck." I'm like, and at this point, like I pretty much lost that. I lost that control. They're like, "Nope, we're gonna roll you back and forth using our hands and helping hands, and you're just gonna suck it up." And I was trying not to get frustrated at them because I know it's their job and that's like their main things, C-spine, keeping it. And I was like, okay. I still did what I could though. But they kept telling me a bunch of times, like, "Don't move your neck, don't move your neck, stop doing that, don't do that," scolding me.
And I mean, the pain is also probably aggravating the hell out of you, right? So you're already like more mad than you would normally be.
I mean, yeah, they're still trying to figure my extent of my injuries out, and like they haven't given me anything yet. And they're like, "Any drug allergies?" I'm like, "No, I don't got nothing. No drug allergies, nothing. So they gave me some good stuff. I think that's when once they got all my stuff good, they're like, "Okay, blood work." They were there and they gave me some fentanyl, and that was definitely still hurt, but I was not as bad.
And then like, how soon did Megan get there?
I think she got there while I was still in that like the right off the ambulance room when they like get you in the hospital and they put you in the room, and that's where they have all the whole bunch. There was a bunch of people. There was like, I don't know, like 10 people in there. They finished cut my clothes off. They cut my pants off. Finished cutting my pants off. Cut my boxers off. Cut my shirt off. And then got all that stuff off of me, and we're just kind of, everybody's like looking over me, holding my head, and like, they put in the collar on me. But she was there pretty quickly. Right, I think she was in there I think she was at the hospital while I was in there being like checked over.
And how long from when you got in there to when they did the operation on your leg?
Not that long. It was, I think they took me to the ICU first. I don't remember if I stayed in there. They had me drugged up pretty good, and then took me to the ICU, and they're like saying like, "Hey, yeah." Oh no, they did X-rays. I don't think I was awake for the X-rays. Maybe I'm not sure. This was after that point they kind of got me.
But like same day though.
Oh, it was like within a couple hours. Like I was in the ICU, and they were like getting their like surgery plan ready and like looking for stuff. Yeah, I think they might be, but take me on the X-ray here in a little bit. They're gonna X-ray my elbow. There was like a little puncture went on it. They wanted to double check, make sure another one in there.
Oh, elbow's feeling all right though. The joint's good.
Yeah, I feel good.
Cool. So you got a couple minutes, or you need to go now?
No, I mean I don't know when. I probably got a few minutes. Yeah.
Cool. So we talked about this the other night, but for my listeners who are concerned, how's the bike doing?
Oh, the bike's actually not that bad. It probably needs a new, maybe like a new clutch reservoir, clutch lever. Maybe a new radiator. I think the radiator might be. I'm not sure if I check.
What kind of bike is it again? I know it's a KTM, but which model?
It's a KTM SMC 690. So it's like a 690cc supermoto that I've done a decent bit of work on to.
Yeah, what all you do to it?
So I did a full graphics kit. Pulled off all the old graphics, put new graphics on, so it looks a lot better in that aspect. I put like a little O2 sensor bypass chip in there because they're really rough at low RPM, being one, big old 690cc one cylinder motor, so they're really rough at low RPM. And it's because the factory tune is a little lean. So that little chip in there helps richen it out at lower RPM, so it's a little more smoother down low. Put a titanium slip-on exhaust to help us, because the old exhaust on there is like super quiet and it's also super heavy. That gave a little more power. With a titanium exhaust, sounds a hell of a lot better too.
So more power and it sounds better.
Yeah, that stock exhaust is garbage. I also wrapped the exhaust with like exhaust strap, like that nice looking exhaust strap. So it was wrapped all nice. changed out. So a couple of things were by attrition. I changed out the shift lever. The OEM shift lever was kind of getting a little loose on me. Some of the splines had gotten chewed up on the inside, so I got a new one of those. It was orange and black. Swapped out the shift or the clutch lever. It's a hydraulic clutch, so super smooth clutch. I swapped out one for like an orange and black one, so looks nicer. Put new grips on it. Converted the front tire to tubeless because they're spoked wheels.
Yeah.
And I've actually got the brand new tire to convert the rear to tubeless, but I just didn't get a chance to put it on yet.
And did you put slick tires on it for street?
Yeah, it's got some Pirelli Diablo Rosso 3s on it. That's what I've got ready to put on it. It's got Pirelli Diablo Rosso 3 on the front, and then I've got another Pirelli for the back.
So the tire that was on the bike when you wrecked, was that still original?
No. It was aftermarket. It was like a Michelin Pilot Pro, Pilot Power Sport 2 CT or something like that. So it's a pretty nice tire. It was definitely on its way out, though.
I wonder if there's tires specifically formulated for the slippery roads in Okinawa.
No, I doubt it. I doubt it.
There's no tire that can fix that.
No.
Well, dude, I'm so glad you're doing better. I hope you get home soon. I'm sure the girls are missing you, right? They can't come to the hospital to see you, or can they?
Yeah, we were able to kind of get him in here with one of the nurses. That was really cool. They come up and tell me for a little bit, but they can't just come and go regularly as they please. So.
How did they react to seeing their dad in the hospital?
They were a little sad. They were fine. They made me little cards like, "Hey, miss you, Daddy. How's your leg? Hope your leg's okay." I'm like, thank you. They were happy to see me. Getting lots of hugs and kisses, so it was good. It was nice.
Nice. And are you able to watch TV and stuff while you're there? You trying to find ways to pass the time?
Yeah, I really haven't probably been watching any TV. I just been kind of scrolling Facebook and doing a lot of posting some pictures and messaging friends. Like, of course, the first few days I was getting bombarded with messages and stuff like that, and I finally made my official Facebook post letting everybody know what happened.
Yeah.
So trying to respond back to those, and then I really just started watching TV not that long ago, like a few hours ago. I was like, all right, let me watch some TV.
They just dropped the last 2 episodes of Stranger Things. Are you guys watching that?
Yeah, we watched the second to last. We have not seen the finale.
Oh, that's exactly where I'm at. Literally, once I'm done talking to you and done finishing recording this podcast, I'm gonna go watch the finale of Stranger Things. I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, I'll probably watch it tonight.
Dude, it's like a movie length. It's over 2 hours long.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. All right, man. Well, I love you. Talk to you another time. Keep in touch, and let me know how you're healing up.
Yeah, definitely will. Thanks for reaching out. Good talking. Love you too.
Right on, buddy. I'll post this on Tuesday, and I'll tag you in it so everybody that knows you can see that there's a podcast. If they want to hear all the details, maybe you won't have to repeat it.
Yeah.
You won't have to tell everybody so many times.
Oh, yeah.
That does get old. I can tell you from experience.
I definitely copy and pasted some messages like, hey, what happened? Like, oh, this happened. Copy, paste.
Yeah, good call. All right, man. Take care. I love you. Go get them x-rays, and I'll talk to you later.
All right, well, see you later.
See ya.
Everybody say